Go to TRICAREUS.com.
You said in the Rose Garden, the day after the attack, it was an act of terror. It was not a spontaneous demonstration. Is that what you're saying?
Please proceed, Governor.
I want to make sure we get that for the record, because it took the president 14 days before he called the attack in Benghazi an act of terror.
And welcome back to the special edition of Hannity, and we're coming to you live from Hofstra University in Long Island, the site of tonight's presidential debate. Joining me now in the spin room from the Romney campaign is former New Hampshire Governor John Sununu. Governor, let me fact check this tonight, because in the Rose Garden, he was talking about September 11th, 2001. He doesn't talk about Benghazi being an act of terror. We've got the tape, and then we'll show the timeline of other things. Watch this.
No acts of terror will ever shake the resolve of this great nation, alter that character, or eclipse the light of the values that we stand for. Today we mourn for more Americans who represent the very best of the United States of America. We will not waver in our commitment to see that justice is done for this terrible act, and make no mistake, justice will be done.
Now, the president was asked directly. 9 days later, he stated that we're going to continue to investigate this. Then he went on The View, and if you watch, in each case, he was asked directly by Joy Behar on The View if this was an act of terrorism. That was on September the 25th, 14 days later. But watch this sequence as the president still refused to tell the American people the truth.
We don't know yet, and so we're going to continue to investigate this.
Heard Hillary Clinton say that it was an act of terrorism. Is it? What do you say?
Well, we're still doing an investigation.
As a crude and disgusting video sparked outrage throughout the Muslim world.
And he said that 6 times at the United Nations.
Look,
he did not say it, so the president got caught.
He got caught, and Candy Crowley had no business doing an real time, if you will, trying to fact check, because she was dead wrong. This president got caught tonight with a bunch of statements that weren't correct. He was wrong on the statement about the permits for oil. He was wrong on the statement about the permits for shale. He was wrong on coal. He was absolutely deliberate in his dishonesty on this issue of when he acknowledged it was terrorism. How can you go to the UN 2 weeks later and still be claiming 6 times that it's the video, and then show up tonight and claim that you said it was an act of terrorism?
But isn't this an ongoing pattern, Governor? For example, Fort Hood, if we were to believe the president, you have somebody shooting up innocent people there after they're screaming Allahu Akbar, and they said it was workplace violence. The president, early in his administration, could not say the words war on terror. They were man-caused disasters, overseas contingency operation. What is the problem with this?
Well, the problem is this president lives in his own world, and he really does not, in my opinion, have a sense of how important some of these issues are. We lost an ambassador for the first time since 1979. And he's trying to say that the only reason Americans are concerned about it is because it's a political season. That's ridiculous. The death of an ambassador is a critical item, a critical issue. Policies that cause that are really to be condemned. Failure to provide security is an act of negligence that's unconscionable. And just because Hillary Clinton tried to save him today by saying the buck stopped there, it doesn't stop there. The buck stops at his desk, as Harry Truman told us.
Why did Ambassador Rice 5 days later go on 5 shows and say this was this was spontaneous, this had to do with the movie? This had nothing to do with the movie trailer that was released in July. Why won't, till this day, they're not telling us the truth about Benghazi?
No UN ambassador goes on 5 Sunday shows without coordinating what they're going to say with the White House. She was out there at the White House's instruction to try and really distract America from understanding that this president has not, as he said a few days before that, stop terrorism. Terrorism is rampant, particularly in North Africa and parts of the Arab world, and he got caught.
The other interesting thing tonight, and I thought Governor Romney, it was almost like a prosecuting attorney, and he laid out the single greatest concise indictment of the economic failures. 1 in 6 Americans in poverty, 25 million un- and underemployed, 17 million more Americans on food stamps, and it was devastating. And, and the president doesn't have a plan for the next 4 years.
Well, let me go back to the Benghazi thing.
You can do whatever you want, Governor. I'm not going to argue. I watched you with Andrea Mitchell. I'm not going to argue.
An interesting thing happened today. Lindsey Graham sent a letter with John McCain, pointing out that on June 6th, a huge hole was blown in the restraining wall of the compound. That's the kind of act that doesn't go unreported to a White House. The White House has to hear that their embassy has had a breach in its security. I don't know if it was a separate report to the president. I don't know if it was just in his president's daily brief. But I cannot imagine that was not sent to the president.
Governor, they were watching this, according to testimony from the State Department, in real time.
On the video link.
Yes. So they knew, intelligence knew that night. The Libyan president told us the next day.
And the State Department acknowledged that they never considered this to be tied to the video, that they always, because of the nature of the attack, treated it as an act of terrorism.
So as people now see that the president was just caught flat-footed and lied, and also similarly lied about the oil drilling on federal land issue, what is the fallout in the days following this debate?
Well, the Romney administration has to do a good job in dealing with this. They can't.
Romney administration?
I'm anticipating November 6th.
Yeah.
The Romney campaign has to do a good job in dealing with this. They can't let the president and his campaign blurry that narrative. They got to go out and work
I was listening to them. They're all out there spinning like a top.
Yeah.
Well, the word terrorism was in there, but he wasn't talking about Benghazi.
The word terror was in there, not even
terrorism. Good point. Governor, you're going to correct the record. If I mess up, you're there to tear me up. I got to be careful with you.
Thanks
good to
for
see
letting
you.
me on.
All right, thank you, Governor. And coming up next, we head back to Las Vegas, where Frank Luntz and his focus group of undecided voters are standing by. Now, they dialed some of the key moments of tonight's debate, and the results, very interesting. I think one of the best lines tonight was Governor Romney saying that we don't have to live like this. And then later on, Governor Bobby Jindal, Juan Williams, Kirsten Powers, all join me right here in the spin room at the special edition of Hannity from Hofstra University.
I spent my life in the private sector. I know why jobs come and why they go. And they're going now because of the policies of this administration.